Nothing quite like a nice enjoyable day out on the water, only to have somebody ignore that no wake sign and all of a sudden chaos ensues, just like some of the chaos we'll see in this week's episode of Boating News of the Week. Our first story to make the boating news this week is going to take us down to Grand Turk, and this is a wild scene. Imagine this, you're on a cruise ship trying to enjoy your vacation and all of a sudden the fire alarms go off. This is exactly what happened to passengers and crew on board the Carnival Freedom this past week when all of a sudden a blaze broke out on the ship's signature red, white, and blue funnel. Images started hitting the internet around 8 a.m. this past Thursday, and most of those pictures actually came from other vessels that were also docked in Grand Turk. Carnival did release an official statement at approximately 8:45 a.m., confirming that a fire did break out on the vessel, but they also confirmed that nobody was injured during the blaze and their emergency crews were able to quickly extinguish the flames. However, the damage did halt the ship from being able to leave port, and many of the passengers were actually stuck an extra few days in Grand Turk while Carnival sent another ship to pick them up, delaying most passengers' return home by about 2 days. The cause of the incident is still under investigation at this time. Now, fortunately for Carnival, they were not the only cruise line to make headlines this week, as Royal Caribbean decided they wanted to get in on the action as their ship Harmony of the Seas decided to make its own bang as it made approach toward a dock in Jamaica. These images here show the Harmony of the Seas making approach on a dock in Falmouth, Jamaica, and things obviously behind these images have gone wrong. Now, at this time, it's still not completely sure exactly what happened here. Royal Caribbean hasn't really released a whole lot of information. The only info they've released at this time was that the vessel did collide with an object in Jamaica and that the vessel did suffer some minor cosmetic damage, but was able to actually continue on with its trip. Now, as we can tell from these images here, most of the damage actually occurred to the pier at the port. The tourism minister of Jamaica did release a statement about this, saying they are repairing the damaged areas to the port now. They currently have divers in the water and are recovering the broken elements, and they do hope the port should be back in full working order for vessels to come in and out of by next week. But it will be interesting to see as the investigation continues on this event to determine whether or not this was actually mechanical or operator error that caused this incident. Our next story to make the boating news this week is going to take us over to Delaware, where this past week a massive barge fire broke out approximately 9 miles south of Port Mahon, Delaware. The barge was reportedly carrying household appliances and scrap when it ignited around 1 a.m. in the morning. The massive blaze took authorities over 24 hours to get under control. It was so bad at one point the governor actually issued a local state of emergency just because of the barge fire. Due to the type of materials this barge was carrying, the fire was an extremely difficult blaze to get under control, and it kept the Coast Guard, fire boats, and environmental agencies busy well into the next day as they were trying to also ensure there was no pollution to the waterways that may affect the waterway or wildlife itself. Once the fire was put under control, the Coast Guard stationed an 87-foot patrol boat to monitor the situation and enforce a 500-foot safety zone around the barge, which nobody's allowed to enter. A local salvage company has been contracted to go out and determine the integrity of the barge to make sure that it's safe to be moved. DNREC's emergency response team monitored for environmental impact from the fire. While the towering plume of smoke could be seen for many miles, local air quality monitoring stations showed only low levels of particulate matter in the air, and the environmental agency and the Coast Guard crews looked for debris from the barge, and they did not find any signs of damage to wildlife or the bay. Our next story to make the boating news this week is going to take us over to the coast of Chile, where this past week a crew of 8 that was exiting the San Antonio Canal found themselves in a precarious situation when their vessel began to take on water. The vessel, the Don Julian, apparently was overloaded as the crew left port, and things just went massively wrong. The vessel began to take on water, and the next thing they know, it started to list, and the crew had to abandon ship. Fortunately, all 8 of the crew members were able to successfully get into a lifeboat. The crew were all in good condition, and actually nobody wound up in the water. They wound up having to wait for another vessel to come rescue them. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Boating News of the Week. If you ever see anything crazy happening out on your waterways, be sure to hit me up on Facebook or Instagram and let me know, and you might see your stories over here. Just like Alec Lamore, Rob Waller, Tracy Bellum, Pablo Beckdorf, and Scott Follows did this week. And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and drop an anchor on the subscribe button here. If not, we're coming to steal your drain plug.